Hello dear students and welcome back to our virtual class. The focus of today's lesson will be on financial literacy with a particular emphasis on the significance of saving for the future. If you haven't been financially educated, our chances of growing our assets are very slim. Financial literacy is one of the 21st century's life and career skills. Responsible Filipinos must learn to save for health, retirement, death, and education as the country progresses. These are uncontrollable events that will inevitably occur in a person's life, and you will basically learn the basics of saving and investing for the future in the video that I'll be showing today from the Department of Education's E to Lie session. But before we get into the meat of our conversation, I'd like to give you the following homework to do. First, I'd like you to make a collage to create your dream board. This dream board will determine who you will be in 10, 15, or 20 years from now. Pictures of your dream vacation, dream houses, and family may be displayed or included in your dream board when you are teaching or working perhaps in another field. Make a one-page Word presentation about it. Second, I'd like you to keep a multi-expenditure diary for you and your family. Following the example structure shown later in the video, I'd like you to calculate how much money you will need for your retirement based on inflation and explain whether current spending habits will help you accomplish your goals by delivering a short reflection of at least 150 to 200 words. And lastly, I'd also like you to share your own BHAG. If you want to know more about what this BHAG is, just don't skip the video so that you can check on it. I hope you learned something from this very short webinar video. Take a look at this.
Class. Ang ating week 3 na pag-uusapan ay ayan. So SMART goals, my BHAG or my big, hairy, audacious goals. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng BHAG. Big, hairy, audacious goal. At bago tayo mag-start, syempre pa, ay pag-usapan natin, no? Let's have a recap. Ano ba yung napag-usapan natin last week? So we discussed about what keeps us from becoming wealthy. So ito yung ating napag-usapan last week. So ano-ano ba yung mga dahilan or reasons or factors bakit hindi tayo makamove on? Kung sa love life ay may move on din, sa pera yan din meron din tayong pinag-uusapan. Ba't di tayo makamove on towards our goal na maging financially wealthy or maging financially fit? So una dyan, syempre nga, napag-usapan natin ang lack of income. So ibig sabihin, paano tayo makakapag-ipon kung kulang nga tutor Madge pa lang yung nasa ating bulsa or kulang pa nga yung na iipon natin or income natin? Poor spending habits, lack of patience, procrastination. So yan yung mga napag-usapan natin last week at mas napalalim natin through our own sharing at our own experiences. And syempre pa, meron tayo ding bahala na attitude, no? Naalala nyo ba yan? Na parang minsan nagiging na I myself, no, naging ano ko nung bata or nasa high school na parang bahala na or pwede na yan, subukan natin yan, try na natin yan. Kasi di ba may naalala tayo, pag sinabing talon agad or kapag sinabing hindi mo kaya yan, kaya mo yan. Pero syempre, kailangan, katulad nung na-discuss natin last school year, meron tayong tinatawag na calculated risk. No? Kaya kailangan aalamin natin ano ba yung pwede, no, na ano yung mga factors bago natin i-grab or tanggapin ang isang bagay. So, lack of self-confidence. So, dapat tayo mismo ay yes, ayan, sabi ni Ma'am Erza, ayan, bahala na si Batman. Thank you, Ma'am Erza. So talaga yan yung mga term na yan, ano, naalala natin ng mga batang 90s, bahala na si Batman. Alright. So, again, lack of self-confidence. Again, magtiwala ka. Unang-unang dapat, no, napupuri sa'yo or magtitiwala ay ikaw. Dapat alam natin yan, no, na ikaw, lagi mong binuboost ang yung confidence. Hopelessness, yung na parang ayoko na or lalo na ngayon, mas marami tayo nakakaramdam ng ganito, no, na parang ang hirap ng buhay. So dapat yan din, no, na mga nagiging balaki din yan. Kaya dapat positive lang tayo sa mindset, positive mindset lang ay outlook din natin sa buhay. Pressure from family and friends. And kaya nga tayo may financial literacy ay low financial IQ. So meron pa rin tayong mga kababayan na parang ano natin dito, isa na diyan yung hindi tayo masyadong kumbaga gusto natin one day millionaire, yung iba na parang pag nasabi kailangan magpapakain tayo, kailangan umutang tayo para makapagpakain. At kailangan kung ano yung mayroon si kapitbahay, meron din tayo. O kung ano yung hawak ni co-teacher, meron din dapat tayo noon. So may mga ganong klase ding mga attitude na kailangan nating iwasan or kailangan nating, kaya yung unang episode natin, naalala natin, self-reflection is a must. Ano ba yung attitude ko towards money? Paano ko siya ginagamit or minamanage? Alright? So those are the things na na-discuss natin. And of course, lagi nating na-mention natin, ang nung pinagkakaiba ng rich sa poor. So rich people manage their money while poor people mismanage. So, kaya talaga importante na marunong tayong mag-manage ng ating kaperahan. Alright, so as mentioned earlier, ay very special ang araw na to dahil matalino katulad ng topic natin ngayon dahil ang guest natin din ay smart din at maraming may share sa atin ng mga naging smart goals niya towards achieving his financial independence. Siyempre, yung mga na-encounter niya at mga sharing niya as also a financial guru. Ayan. So, talaga excited na ako na ipakilala sa inyo. Hayaan yung i-share ko muna ang kanyang mga achievements, siyempre, para mas lalo tayong ma-inspire. So, ang ating speaker is an undergraduate studies or finished his undergraduate studies at Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, as magna cum laude lang naman, and Ateneo's most outstanding student leader for being the Central Student Government President. He finished his Master's of Arts in Education as Best Thesis Awardee at Cebu Normal University, and his Doctor of Education major in Instructional System and Resource Management in University of San Jose, Recoletos. Wow! Currently, he is the Dean of the University of San Jose Recoletos School of Education, the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education. At marami pang iba, sa totoo lang. As in, ang dami kong pwedeng basahin, pero dahil excited na ako na makasama rin natin siya at talagang ma-meet ninyo siya, ang ating smart goal guru, ang ating financial guru. Siguro yung last sentence na rin sasabihin ko doon sa kanyang sobrang daming achievements, no? And recently, he is being recommended by our Department of Education Secretary, Leonor Magtolis Briones, to sit as one of the Teacher Education Council members and is currently waiting for the signature of appointment from the Office of the President of the Philippines. O, diba? Wow. Let us all welcome Dr. Justoni Balbia. Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, Sir Shooter Madge. Good afternoon.
Hello, Dr. Justoni Balbia. Isang mapagpalang hapon po, Doc Babia. Kumusta po kayo? And katulad ko, medyo sobrang napawaw ako sa inyong mga achievements.
Nako po. It's an honor po na naimbitahan po ako for the first time, no, ito sa segment na ito po. And parang first time ko din na parang kinakabahan ako So alam pa yung feeling, no. So actually I am doing a lot of talks like this. Pero first time na andito sa the entire DepEd naman kasi iba't ibang region lang naman.
Yes, sir. As mentioned po, talagang excited din ang ating mga online participants this afternoon. At basahin ko muna yung mga comments nila. Nandyan syempre ang ating kapatid, Kap Glenny Laping. Wow na wow!
Yes, thank you, Sir Glenny. Thank you po, Sir Glenny.
Ayan. At si Sir Mark Edward, ang isa sa ating mga Itulay tutor, ang galing. Still listening and watching. #Itulay Wells. At si Ma'am Erza ulit. Wow, isa rin po nating tutor. Hello po, Dr. Babia. Yan, good afternoon po, ma'am. Alright, sir. As young as 30, hindi nga mukhang 30 years old, Kap Glenny. Kala ko mga 20 plus lang.
Ay, grabe. May ano ko sa akin, sir. May Gcash. Dahil doon, Gcash.
Alright. Bago tayo, sir, mag-proceed sa iyong discussion, syempre, mention nga natin ating mga smart goals o yung mga dreams natin. Ma-share lang natin based dito sa larawan na ito or sa picture na ito. Nung kayo po ay bata ba, kayo po ba, na-imagine niyo po ba na kayo ay magiging dean or magiging educator? Ano po ba yung naalala ninyo, sir?
That's a magandang tanong po yan, Tutor Madge, ano po. Hindi ko po talaga inakala na maging isang dean ako or maging isang financial advisor. Yung ginagawa ko lang talaga noon is nag-aaral lang eh. So parang yung expectation talaga dapat mag-aral lang, dapat magkaroon ng honors, parang ganun. Pero hindi ko iniisip na parang dapat ganito, dapat may posisyon or dapat something. Ini-enjoy ko lang naman noon yung parang mga experiences ko. And eventually, naging masaya naman yung takbo ng buhay. Parang the journey never stopped naman. Until now, masayang-masaya pa rin. Kasi you just take one step at a time. My goals naman, very clear yung goals. Okay? Pero minsan kasi pag minsan nare-realize mo na, okay, iba pa rin binibigay ni Lord sa'yo. So, yun. So, you just have to go with the flow na din.
Yes, tama po. May mga ganun din po talaga, Sir Bobby, talagang nung mga bata tayo, rin tayo, no? Marami rin tayong dreams, no? At marami rin tayong mga gusto ring ma-achieve. And sometimes, yung dreams mo, syempre, as you grow old, nagbabago naman talaga, no? Like ako mismo, dati, syempre, nung mga bata tayo, gusto ko maging doktor kasi gusto ko magpagaling ng mga may sakit, and eventually, eto, naging teacher tayo.
Correct. Tama po. I think I would agree with you on that aspect. Kasi paiba-iba eh. Wala pa masyadong karanasan kasi pag bata pa tayo. Pero we always meet a lot of, people, experiences, situations, conditions. So, yun, tama po kayo. Nag-iiba-iba yung ating gusto noon. And eventually, when we get to be old and we get to see naman the connection of what we are working. Diba? Ngayon, being teacher. So, napofocus tayo doon at nagkakaroon tayo ng panibagong mga dreams, mga bihag na mga moments. Ayun.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Babia. Siguro po, let us proceed sa inyong discussion. And of course, as mentioned po, ay excited na kami marinig ang inyong sharing this afternoon.
Sige po. Thank you po. Okay.
Alright, so habang piniprepare niyo po yan, Doc, ay batiin ko lang po si Ma'am Mary Juliet de la Torre Basan greetings from SDO Manila. Hello po, Doc.
Hello po.
Romel Emmanuel Basan is watching right now. Thank you so much, dear tutors, for extending your precious time teaching to us. So maraming salamat din po, Ma'am Mary Juliet. At syempre, thankful tayo kay Doc Babia sa kanyang time din. Precious time na makasama natin siya ngayong hapon. Take it away, Doc Babia.
Thank you, Tutor Madge, Coach Madge para school. Okay, so magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Thank you so much once again for inviting me here, Sir Glennie, Tutor Madge. Yung na-assign po sa akin na topic is basically tinawagan po ako kahapon and DepEd naman, so hindi tayo makaka-review sa DepEd. So I call this Financial Literacy 101. So a journey towards becoming highly literate and smart teacher professionals. Ayan. So basically, na-discuss ni Coach Madge last time yung the importance of having financial literacy at the onset of how do we conceptualize it generally. Pero ngayon is parang may specific focus tayo and that talks about becoming more literate, highly literate, and smart, teacher professionals. I think sinabi na po ni Coach Madge yung aking background and I also work with the financial industry po. So ayun, teacher po ako, dean po ako at the same time po ay financial advisor din po. So nag-a-advise po tayo kung ano po yung mga possible na gagawin ng mga guro, lalo na sa ating mga guro. No? So ating mga kasamahan sa teacher education, sa basic education, kung ano nga ba yung dapat natin gawin sa ating hindi naman sa mga kapirahan, no? how do we make sure that we are balancing everything, including the way how we spend our money wisely. So, alam naman po natin na yung function ng school, sabi nga ni Jeffrey Bolton ng University World News, the very function of schools is to provide direct in-out benefits. And the purpose of it is, syempre naman, for social and economic prosperity. Pero yung success po nun is however fleeting. Yun yung sabi ni Sir Geoffrey. It's fleeting. Hindi naman po siya talagang everyday nagkakaroon talaga ng constant success. No? Because the only constant in this world is change naman po, di ba? But the very purpose of school is to enable everyone to become the direct drivers of the knowledge-based economy. And who are actually in schools ay ang mga guro, katulad po natin, no? So mga nakikinig ngayon. So baka may nakikinig din po sa atin ng mga estudyante. So we are all part of the knowledge-based economy. And the context of knowledge-based economy is to enable us to rise above the many, many different challenges. So marami tayong mga challenges, mga hamon, no? And sa mga hamon na yon, nararanasan natin siya all throughout the years. So other challenges, hindi natin siya na-anticipate, but eventually, when we go through it, as we experience it, we realize how hard it could be, or how good it could be, or depending on our context and experiences as well. But our challenge, especially as teachers, in how to bridge the gap between theory and practice. So yun naman talaga, no? So, kasi we are expected to be knowledge-based, generator. So we generate new knowledge and information. How do we enable ourselves as well to bridge that particular theory? Because there's a gap. And what about the practice? No? So how do we enable our children to rise above the ladder of success and helping ourselves to rise as well? So yun yung parang pinakatanong doon. No? So we wanted our children to achieve the highest possible standards. But the question is, are we also enabling ourselves to achieve that highest possible education standard? And nakita naman po natin, lahat naman po ng ating audience ngayon are coming from the DepEd or maybe from the higher education institutions. We're very much familiar with the K-12 framework. Ano po? So yung sinasabi ng K-12 framework kasi natin, yung nasa pinakadulo ng framework, sinabi po doon that we wanted to produce holistically developed Filipino with 21st century skills. Non-negotiable yan kasi yun yung nakalagay sa ating framework. And that's actually a very, very inspiring framework. No? We wanted to prepare our students to become holistically developed Filipino with 21st century skills. And alam naman natin kung ano yung 4Cs, paulit-ulit na sinasabi ng DepEd yan. These are all the different skills that our students should acquire pagkatapos ng basic education experience ng mga bata. All these critical skills, critical thinking, creativity, communication, collaboration must have to be achieved. Pero yung pinakatanong talaga, especially sa akin din, no, because as a dean of a teacher education and we're also a center of excellence, tinatanong ko sa aking karanasan or based on how I deal with my students and also with my teachers is this: are we also holistically developing ourselves with the 21st century skills? No? Are we a holistically developed Filipino teacher embracing the 21st century skills? So parang yun yung pinaka-challenge ng ating that's the guiding point. No? So when we say the guiding point, that remains to be a greater challenge even until now. Sa ambisyon natin 2040, yung the life that we want, sinasabi na, ano nga ba yung ambisyon ng bawat Pilipino? What are our dreams and goals are? So tinanong ni Coach Madge kanina, ano ba yung dream ko? Did I also dream to become a dean someday? Sinabi ko sa kanya na hindi naman talaga yun yung actual dream. No? So parang dumating na lang yun as a bonus or as a gift. But in this ambition natin 2040, it's very evident kung ano yung gusto natin bilang mga Pilipino. No? So we wanted like 79% base sa survey ng ating ambition natin 2040 dito, 79% aspire for a simple and comfortable life. Pero 62% sa atin gusto ng car, 61% sa atin gusto ng enough money, 61% would want to have a medium-sized home, 73% wants to earn enough. Pero this is actually the reality check. Meron tayong mga reality check. And yung reality check, sabi ng ating different data from different sources, there are 79%, totoo yan, 79% of the Filipinos who aspire for a comfortable life, pero only 7 to 9% of them are just preparing for the future that they want. So yung tinatanong ko sa sarili ko, nung nabasa ko ito, sabi ko sa sarili ko, am I part of the 7 to 9% who would want to have a brighter future? Pero hindi naman ako nagpe-prepare ngayon para sa aking kinabukasan. So parang there's actually a gap. Ito yung tinatanong ko kanina, ito yung parang point ko kanina. There's actually a gap between the theory and practice. The theory is wanted to be 21st century teachers, 21st century learners. Pero the question is, are we practicing to become 21st century teachers? So that was the point of reflection. And at the same time, ito pa yung napaka-controversial talaga issue all the time. No? Kaya naririnig ko sa mga balita, ang dami-daming mga nagsasabi ng mga iba't ibang mga experiences nila tungkol sa investment. And eventually, hindi po ako nagsabi nito, kinopya ko lang po ito sa Securities and Exchange Commission at sa ating DepEd, no? So DepEd website. Yung SEC pala, nag-issue sila ng list of investment scams that targets teachers. And in terms of, having to look for different types of investments and eventually nasa-scam tayo, that will personally affect our goals. Hindi tayo nagiging smart pag ganun yung nangyayari sa atin. And basically, a number of public school teachers nationwide were scammed from the following agencies and programs. Meron tayong KAPA, Organico, Teachers Financial Program, Teachers Financial Freedom Program, Elite Teachers Financial Program, at least ito yung mga sinasabi ni SEC, at nasusurprise tayo. Sabi ko, bakit kaya of all the people na kang scam, no? Bakit mga teacher pa? Bakit pa yung ating mga huwarang guro ng Republika ng Pilipinas? So that's actually the most important question na talagang tinatanong ko sa sarili ko, bakit kaya naging ganun? No? So bakit naging ganun? And eventually, nakita ko dun sa research, may nag-research kasi nito on financial capability of public school teachers in the Philippines. Sabi ng research, yung research objective kasi nito is just to investigate the current financial capability of public school teachers in the Philippines. And this focused on the 3 key measures of financial capability, money management, ability to plan ahead, and financial literacy. Surprisingly, yung research na to, nung nabasa ko siya, na-surprise din ako, pero hindi na eventually, no? Kasi yun na nga, naririnig ko na sa mga balita, a lot of our teachers are experiencing to be scammed by so many, dami-daming mga program na kumaanik-anik na program na
Doc, magbabat-in ako bigla
Yes po, sure po.
Yes, Doc, kasi talagang, syempre marami tayong mga natatanggap din yan na friend request. Ako, to be honest, pag nakita ko kagad na may ganyan na galing sa member ng ganyan or talagang sorry, hindi ko ina-add. At by the way, Doc, medyo may technical problem lang tayo. Nag-e-echo daw po, sabi ng ating participant. Siguro palagyan natin ng headset or ilayo ng konti. Ayan. So as mentioned nga, Doc, no, talagang nakakalungkot syempre na marami pa rin pong nabibiktima na mga scams. At lalo na kung ang bibiktimahin ay kapwa guro or alam mo yun, syempre 'di ba, talagang hirap na nga sa trabaho tapos maluloko pa. So, continue Doc at nag-iinit na yung mga listeners natin.
Ayun. Nag-echo pa po ba tayo?
Okay na Doc, thank you.
Okay ba? Okay. Ayan. Okay, thank you. Tama po kayo Coach Madge, no? So, pag may maraming mga friend request na mga ganun, di ba, nagtataka ka na kung bakit, ano ba yung purpose ng friend request na to? Ay, ito pala, mga financial program, plannings, ganun. So, contributing to this finding, sabi kanina, i-relate ko lang Coach Madge, no? Sabi ng research na to, contributing to these findings are the respondent teachers' deficient money management skills, low incidence of financial planning, and inadequate knowledge on basic financial concepts as reflected in their dismal performance in the financial literacy quiz. So, ayun. So, yun pala. So, basically, there's a gap. And so, therefore, nung na-reflect ko itong mga ganitong mga bagay, actually, tinatanong sa sarili ko, will I be possibly part of this circle? Or I wanted to be different? Okay, so yun yung pinakatanong doon. And eventually, yung nangyari kasi is, I made a different route. So gumawa ko ng different route. So yung route na to is, of course, I have to clarify my dream board. So ano yung dream board? So kina-clarify ko ano yung dream board ko. So I wanted to have my own house. Sabi ko, gusto ko ng bagong bahay. I wanted to have that. I wanted to go shopping. I wanted to have my own massage chair. I wanted to give to the needy. I want Sorry po. Yan. Okay. Sorry. Pasensya. Okay. I wanted to give, time to other people. No? So, but the question is, do I have the same capacity? So, will I be capable enough to do all these things? And that's why I have to have this dream board. But the question is, do I plan the things or do we plan the things that we want to achieve? And what exactly do we want? Ano ba yung parang exactly na gusto natin eventually? And that was also the question that I had for myself. Kasi nga, money doesn't grow on trees, even though we wish it did. We wanted money to grow just eventually, pero hindi pwede yung ganun eh. It will not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. And what if unfortunate events will happen? Paano pag naging disabled? Paano pag may namatay? So, those are some very, very disturbing questions. And eventually, naka-reflect ako doon na, our lifespan basically, sabi naman ng major research, yung lifespan natin is majority 80 years. No? So, 80 years. So, the estimation natin yan, that's 80 years. And in that particular estimation, nade-divide yung 80 years into 4 quadrants. So may 0 to 20 years old, 20 to 40 years old, 40 to 60 years old, and 60 to 80 years old. And eventually, yung 0 to 20 tsaka yung 60 to 80, wala pang income. Wala pa tayong income at that time kasi nga nag-aaral pa tayo, kasi nga 60 to 80 naman magre-retire tayo. So basically, sa 80 years experience natin dito sa mundo na nabubuhay tayo, 40 years yung wala tayong experience, ay wala tayong pera or something like that. And paano pag 35 years old na ako? Kasi I'm just 33 right now, no? So, how much time do I have to save for my retirement? And pag mag-aasawa ako halimbawa, no? So how much time will I save for my kids, no? So, eventually 35 years old, no? So parang ganun. So, konting-konti na lang yung time from 35 to 60 years old. Konting-konti na lang yung time na ibibigay ko or iaalat ko doon sa savings and sa investment na part. And these are all the time that is left. There's 25 years to go that is left for me. And the question is, I need to do something. No? So kailangan kong gumawa ng mga makabagong paraan, no? Para in order for me not just to depend on whatever it is that I have, my existing salary that I have, but I have to do something. And this is where I had the concept of investment. And the question is, why do we invest? Kasi nga po, nagkakaroon ng inflation. So, yung inflation is it's the value of our money. No? So, halimbawa, pag may 500,000 pesos tayo ngayon, after 10 years, yung value na lang ng 500,000 magiging 300,000, 200,000. It's because of the inflation rate. And yung inflation rate natin yun is more or less 3.5 to 4%. No? So, inflation rate ng Philippines. And basically, pag nagsisave tayo sa bank, tinatago natin yung 1 million natin. Pag may 1 million pesos tayo ngayon, tapos tinatago lang natin sa bank, eventually, hindi na magiging 1 million yan in the coming years. It's because of the inflation rate, no? And at the same time, meron din po tayong freedom to invest, no? But the thing here is, are we investing smart? Are we investing smart? Kasi nga, there are different levels eh. When we say financial goals, there are different levels. Yung halimbawa, na iba na we use our salary for our survival. Yung iba naman, merong ginagamit for the safety money. Yung iba naman, may ginagamit for the freedom money, for the gift money, for the dream money. Pero yung question is, are we enabling ourselves to reach the different hierarchy? So yun ang pinakatanong dun. Are we enabling ourselves to go next? I'm sorry. To go next to the ladder. I'm sorry, pasensya na, ang dami-daming tumatawag. So we go next to the ladder. So gift money or dream money. So that's actually the question. So the bottom part of this realization is that how do we achieve a wonderful retirement lifestyle? So ito yung pinaka-bottom line ng talk na to. Are we enabling ourselves to prepare for the dream money that we want for our retirement? Are we doing long-term investments? So yun yung mga parang questions ko noon. Am I only doing short-term investments? Or what I do after the money is being, after I receive a salary, for example, I will just use it for survival and for safety keeping. So parang doon yung parang reflections ko at that. So eventually, I got some tips on how to manage my money at home. Yung first na ginawa ko talaga noon, when I was 20, when I started working at age 19, kasi wala pang senior high school during that time, no? So, hindi natin alam kung ano yung gagawin sa pera. So, eventually, nagkaroon ako ng salary worth, yung time na yun, it was 2008, natatandaan ko, yung first salary ko is nasa 14,000 pa, no, at that time, no? Kasi part-time teacher ako at that time. So, yung ginagawa ko noon, I just simply spend everything. Bili ako ng mga branded clothes, branded bags, branded shoes. Kasi nga wala namang we don't have much financial planning at the time. So I did not do much about tracking my spending pattern. So hindi ako nagsiset ng budget kasi nga bata pa, so we just enjoy everything. Until such time na I was so very lucky na nagkaroon ako ng experience and I met a financial advisor. Yung financial advisor ko noon was my co-teacher. So sabi niya sa akin, bakit you always spend a lot of things for this and for that, no? So ano ba yung ginagawa mo? Bakit Hindi ka ba nag-iipon? Are you not saving or are you not investing? Sa paano ba yung investment na yan? So I actually don't know about that. But basically, I learned it from her. No? So the first things first is we have to track our spending pattern. Very important yan. And we have to set a budget. No? And in budgeting naman, especially for married couples, it's always good to get the entire family on board. And we find ways to increase our savings. And of course, the most important thing is to think long term. Kaya nga yung pag tinatanong tayo, ano ba yung gusto mo paglaki mo? Or when you are asked that kind of question 20 or 30 years after, iba na yung magiging sagot mo. No? So, ano ba yung gusto mo pagdating mo ng 40 years old or ng 50 years old? Iba na. Kasi nga, we are now starting to think long term. But unfortunately, yung iba po sa atin, nag-think po na maglo-long term invest tayo when we are already at our 50s and when we are already at our 60s. Or the worst is pag magre-retire na tayo. That's only the time that we realize. That's only the time that we sorry. It's only the time that we realize, I'll just have to turn it off na lang para sorry, pasensya na po. It's only the time that we have to realize that there are so much things to do. Ang dami-dami nating ginagawa. And so this is a very good example. And this particular example is this, no? 42 years old. No? So halimbawa, I reached 42 years old already. So 42 years old. And my retirement age probably is 65 years old. So 65 years old. So pag 42 ako ngayon and then magre-retire ako ng 65 years old, so meron pa akong 23 years to go para mag-save. So yun yung parang concept doon. So I still have 23 years to save. Pero, ang mangyayari kasi, there are actually longest vacation with no pay in that particular example. Kasi nga, halimbawa, pag magbuhay ako ng 85 years old at magre-retire ako ng 65 years old, yung 20 years noon, doon, I don't have any income except for my GSIS, probably if you're working in the government, or SSS or pension. So, what about if I will reach 100 years old? No? So, anong gagawin ko at that time? Will that money or pension that I will be receiving enough? Kasi nga po, balik po tayo dun sa concept ng inflation. Ano? So yung aking 8,000 pension right now, halimbawa, pagdating ko ng 65 years old, magiging yung value na lang yan, magiging magiging parang 4,000 or 3,000 or the worst 2,000 pesos. So yun. And halimbawa naman, pag makakarating ako sa age na 95, almost 100 years old na, it will be about 30 years. Okay, so there's 30 years that there's no income ahead. Hindi na ako nagtatrabaho. I will only just be depending on the salary, on the pension. And here are my bills to pay. Halimbawa, sa common teacher, tinatanong ko sa mga common teachers kung ano yung mga bills na pinipay nila. Sabi lang, sir, electric bill ko is 3,000. Okay, tama. No? So kasi sabi, we track our spending patterns eh. Kailangan itatrack natin, isusulat natin talaga. So electric bill, 3,000 times 12, so 36,000. Water, 500 times 12, that's 6,000. Helper, okay, si teacher wala siyang helper. Food at saka resto, kasi si teacher mahilig kumain sa restaurant. No? So, 4,000 every month yung nagagasta niya sa mga restaurants. No? So, that's 48,000 pesos. Yung miscellaneous, yung expenses on the clothing, on the gadget, on the Wi-Fi, on the medicines. So, non-negotiable yan. No? It's 7,000 per month times 12, so 84,000. Yung leisure ni teacher, sabi ni teacher, sir, I only spend 1,000 for the leisure. So that's multiplied by 12, so 12,000 pesos. Yung leisure niya, probably nagpapamassage or ano pa yung mga ginagawa niya na leisure. And of course, vacation. No? So nagbe-vacation din si teacher. Social si teacher ng DepEd, no? Kasi nagbabakasyon siya. Pero yung expenses lang na for vacation is only 10,000 pesos. So wala namang house and car si teacher. So basically, yung kanang entire spending patterns talaga for the rest of the year is 196,000 pesos. So ayun, so pinakatanong. So 196,000 pesos, wala pa tayong financial, wala tayong mga investments, walang plans or anything. Have we saved enough? So yun yung tanong doon. Have we saved enough? Or is our children will be going to be our retirement plan? Okay? So yun yung parang another challenge at that. No? So another challenge at that. And another road to bihag. Ayun. So the future value, halimbawa, is 196,000. So kasi sa inflation rate, basically, iisipin na lang natin ganito, it doubles every 10 years. So since it doubles every 10 years and that particular client has still 20 years or 30 years to live, i-multiply na lang natin siya ng 3%, ng 3, no? So basically because of the inflation. So sorry, that's 196. Sorry, let me correct that. That's 196,000 annual times 20. So 20 years because no income yung years na. Hindi ko na na-edit. Sorry yung 196 i-multiply natin siya ng 3. Oh, so tama, magiging 588,000. So that's the annual. And multiplied by 20 years na walang income. So basically, that's 11.76 million. Ililas na natin sa mga assets na meron tayo. Anong meron sa atin? Meron tayong mga iba't ibang assets, bahay, lupa, and whatever assets do we have. So if we save on our own, halimbawa, yung 11.76 million natin, divided by time, gagawin natin siya within 23 years, kailangan magsisave tayo ng 511,304.35 annually para po mabubuhay po tayo ng age 65, 66, 67. Kasi nga po, we need to have a very good retirement package. So for us to maintain that 196,000 pesos in age 65 eventually, kailangan po nating mag-save right now ng 511,304.35 annually. Parang ganon. So because of the inflation rate. Pero, pag mag-invest tayo ng mga different methods of how to do investments, halimbawa, mag-invest tayo ng insurance company. So, yung ating 11.76 million sana na kailangan, okay, we need that 11.76 million pesos after retirement for us to live within the span of another 20 years more if mabubuhay pa tayo hanggang 80 years old. So, eventually, gagamitin natin sa insurance at 15% interest rate, we only need 1.76 per million. And kung halimbawa, we will have to decide na, okay, so I'll just have to save it for about 10 years. So 1.76 per million, i-divide ko siya ng 10 years, that's the saving period. So magiging 176,400 annual na lang yung gagastahin ko or 14,700 pesos monthly. So yun ang parang spending pattern. So okay, so kailangan pala talaga yan. And eventually, hindi naman tinuturo sa mga schools kung paano tayo mag-compute, hindi naman tinuturo kung ano yung magiging pera natin or value ng pera natin given the existing inflation rate right now if we will reach this particular age. Kaya ito yung sinasabi ko, how do we bridge the theory and the gap? How do we bridge those practices? Kasi nga po, when we talk about financial literacy, we should also be literate in terms of computing the value of our money, in terms of computing our expenses, our finances right now. Hindi yung basta-basta lang tayo naglo-loan without even considering what might happen to us during our retirement. So yun yung pinaka-challenge ko at that time. So basically, what I did is I wanted to have peace of mind. So gusto ko ng peace of mind. Kasi having peace of mind means having financial security. So yun. So pag mamamatay ako, sino ba ang magbabayad? Pag nagkakasakit ako, sino ba ang magbabayad? Pag magre-retire ako, sino magbabayad? If halimbawa may kids, may pamangkin will go to schools, who will pay for the schooling? So ito yung mga medyo napaka-disturbing na mga tanong sa akin during that time, when I was at my 20s. Sino bang babayad kaya ng mga ganitong bagay? If all these things will happen. And ito pa. There's so much to remember when we get sick. Sabi ni Rappler, si Rappler nagpalabas ng article, sabi ni Rappler, how much would it cost you if you get sick? Ngayon, pag naka-stroke tayo, 1.8 million. So yung diagnosis pa lang is 111,400. Yung treatment is 1.1 million pesos. Pero yung rehabilitation for 10 years is 607,750. Pag nag-acute heart attack, 978,650. Pag nagka-lung cancer, may 1.8 million na money dapat. So you see, ang dami-daming concerns sa buhay na dapat nating i-plan ahead. And so eventually, that's the very reason, tinatanong ni Coach Mad sa akin nung yesterday, ano ba yung mga bihag moments ko? Yung bihag moments ko talaga is when I planned ahead whatever it is that I wanted to prepare for my future. I took insurance. I got insurance when I was 20 years old. So, inuna ko yan. Hindi ako bumili agad ng sasakyan during that time. And eventually, since nagkaroon na ng parang value of, saving, kasi nga may binabayaran na ako, yung ginagawa ko noon, kasi teacher lang ako eh. So yung ginagawa ko noon, naghanap ako ng mga training. So there was one parang NGO who's actually hiring me all the time to do trainings from different parts of the region. So that was in partnership with DepEd pa rin. So sabi ko, I wanted to also use this opportunity para makakabayad ako ng mga investments ko na ginagawa ko at an early age. Kasi nga, pag wala tayong responsibility, pag wala tayong masyadong binabayaran, we don't do much, we don't find other means naman. But itong insurance kasi, yung iba, halimbawa, for some, no? So they always think that, the insurance is a bad debt, but actually it's a good debt. Yung bad debt natin is what about if magkakaroon tayo ng utang sa ating mga, kung ano-ano, anak-anik na mga makeup kits, kung mga anik-anik na mga hindi not so important things that we actually buy or we actually use in order for us to make ourselves become happy and satisfied. So yun yung parang ginagawa ko noon. So that was my aha moment. And eventually din, ito yun din yung na-realize ko. So basically, yung ginawa ko is bakit ako mag-insurance ganito? Kasi na-compare ko siya. Sa situation na ito, sa context na ito, halimbawa si Mr. Batumbakal, he saved 2,500 every month in bank for 10 years. So for 10 years, yung 2.5 niya naging 404,689. At yung projected savings niya at 1% interest at age 60. Sige, sabihin na lang natin 1% interest kasi usually sa bank naman it's 2.2, 0.3, 0.4 depending on the bank. Pero yung ginawa kasi ng iba, like that's what I did when I was at my 20s. I started investing talaga. So ito si Juan, nag-start siya ng 25 years old. No? So mas medyo bata pa ako nung nag-invest ako compared to Juan. So we invested 2,500 every month in insurance for 10 years. So naging 3,232,227 projected 10% return at age 60 kasi nilagay naman dun sa equity fund. No? So kasi maraming hindi alam kung ano ba yung insurance na bakit equity, bakit ganito. So may mga nagsasabi din, may maraming mga videos na that negates VUL kasi it's not the money making, it's not money growing, but it's actually just favoring a company. Pero hindi po totoo yan. Kasi nga po, that's actually savings versus the investment. So yung ginawa ni Juan is on top of the 2.5 niya per month, nagkaroon pa siya ng life insurance ng accidental death benefit na critical illness na 100,000. 500,000 for accidental benefit and life insurance. So this was actually a very good illustration noon when I was 20 years old. And explained sa akin ng aking financial advisor. Sinabi niya, which one will you choose? Are you the Mr. Batumbakal or do you want to be the Mr. Batumbakal or do you want to be the Mr. Juan? Ayun. So yun yung parang napaka-disturbing na tanong po sa akin na it became a very, very, very huge challenge on my end. So it became a very, very huge challenge on my end. And so, what eventually happened after that is nakabasa naman ako ng magandang article. And this article was actually an article by Dr. Sanjay Tolani. And yung article ni Sanjay Tolani was talking about the rules of thumb in investment and insurance, sabi ni Dr. Sanjay Tolani. Sabi ni Dr. Sanjay is also a teacher, a professor, and a licensed financial advisor as well. Sabi niya, ito yung mga tips niya on how to achieve financial security and peace of mind for the family. Sabi niya, if you want to have a peace of mind for the family, that should be 10 times your annual income for the insurance protection. So your annual income times 10. And then for critical illness naman, 10 times the annual income for critical illness. So from your annual income, you have to multiply it by 10 to get the actual critical illness protection that you need. For 20% naman for annual income for retirement. So 20% times the annual income for retirement. So from your annual income, you have to multiply it by 20% to get the actual retirement benefit that you need. And for the kids' education naman sa ating mga guro na merong mga anak na pinapaaral ngayon, from your annual income, you have to multiply it by 5% to get the actual savings needed for your children's education. In other words, ang dami-dami nating dapat i-save. So yung nangyayari kasi sa atin, pag may sahod na, so we spend it all the more for some other things. And eventually, we did not realize that there is really very much more important thing to do, and that is actually savings and saving with investments. So pag tinatanong tayo halimbawa, how prepared are you when you are asked to retire today? So how prepared are you when you are asked to retire today? So tatanong ko sana sa chat box pero na-off yung phone ko. So how prepared are you when you are asked to retire today? Pag sasabihin natin na hindi tayo prepared, pag hindi tayo prepared, basically, yung gagawin natin is we have to save and invest for the retirement. Like, what will we give to our children if our parents will die? Seriously, nakatanong, what will we give to our parents when we die? 2 minutes more. Are we
Yes.
giving them the lake? Are we giving them the river of income? Or are we giving them the ocean of wealth? So that's actually another reflection. Is it the lake na ibibigay natin or the river of income or the ocean of wealth para sa ating mga anak, sa ating mga parents, if ever, kung wala tayong mga anak? And the thesis of life, it depends upon us naman. It depends on our choices. It depends on our chances and changes. So we must make a choice to take a stand or where our lives will never change. So we must take that choice and we will have that chance or else nothing will really change. So eventually, yun lang po yung pinaka-short na 30-minute session discussion po natin. And I hope that na-capture ko naman yung parang hinihingi ni Coach Mad sa akin na gagawin. Coach Mad?
Wow, actually, ang dami kong takeaways, Doc Bobby, at talagang we hope, no, pati ang ating mga online participants this evening ay talagang natuto. Sabi ko nga, may mga rule of thumb pala talaga na dapat ting matutuhan natin, no, in achieving our goals. By the way, based dun sa ating ano rin, no, na pag diskusyonan ay of course ay talagang importante yung pag-prepare natin at pag-aalat natin ng ating mga goals. Whether it's alam na to ng ating mga guro, no? Ito pa ay specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. At talagang totoo, no? Sabi nga ni Tutor Romel, or isa sa participants natin, si Sir Romel, salamat po sa pagpapaintindi ng importance ng matalinong pag-manage ng ating income po, Sir Justoni. Napaka-informative po. Tuwing homeroom ko po sa mga anak ko ay ibabahagi ko po ito. Lalo na yung rule of thumb, no? Talaga importante yon. Talagang pati yung pagre-reflect natin if we're going to retire. Ano ba yung nai-imagine natin na retirement na experience na gusto nating ma-experience? Tama ba, Doc?
Opo, tama po, sir.
Alright.
Maganda yung ating experience for retirement dapat.
Yes. Kayo po ba, Doc, ma-share nyo lang ano po bang na-imagine yung retirement ninyo? Saan po ninyo na nakikita na kayo? Halimbawa, pipikit ang iyong mata ngayon, tapos pagkimulat mo, ay retirement nyo na. Ano yung na-picture out ninyo na retirement experience or na-imagine po ninyo, Doc?
Actually, Coach Tutor Madge, nai-imagine kong retirement, basically, ano pa rin, kasi teacher tayo, di ba? Hindi naman nagsa-stop talaga yung teaching natin. May teaching pa rin ng konti. Pero I think I will be traveling, to different parts of the country, sa world. Parang mga ganun na mga konsepto talaga na piniprepare natin. Kasi mas medyo maluho tayo ng konti. So medyo mahal din yung ating mga binabayarang mga investments as we're going. So kasi,
Yes.
yeah, yun.
Yes, and of course, speaking of investment, sigurado naman ako, sir, na kumikita talagang it's a passive income. Like nung mga na-share natin, nung nakaraan nating mga e-to-life sessions. Ayan, may tanong agad, may share agad si Sir Romel agad. Being futuristic is now a new trend and you need to plan, not tomorrow but today for a better retirement. Salamat po talaga. Ano masabi niyo doon, Doc Babia?
I agree with Sir Romel. Napakatalino ng mga reflections ni Sir Romel. Very important po talaga na we have to think right away for our future today in order for us to have a brighter, di ba? Yung very cliche na a brighter tomorrow. No? So, ano ba yung definition natin ng brighter tomorrow? So, basically, yung future na yan is yung future na hindi tayo magkakaproblema kung paano magkakasakit ba tayo or kung gusto ba nating mag-travel with our family or kung gusto natin na ma-enjoy din ng mga anak natin yung ating pera, di ba? Kasi nga, yung iba naman sa mga anak natin, sometimes they love us more yung concept na yun. Pag may pera ka, although we don't want that value to happen naman. But eventually, yun yung reality eh. So, we cannot deny those types of realities. And I think I would agree to Sir Romel with that shooter match.
Yes. Ito, Doc Justoni, basahin ko na rin. It's a personal pero sobrang thank you, Ma'am Erza. Ako ang pangarap ko, God willing, buhay pa, ay makapag-retire ng maaga para malakas pa nawa, makapag-travel din, makasama ang family na hindi nagmamadali, mamili na hindi tinitingnan ng presyo, kaya dapat talaga nagpaplano.
Tama. Agree po ako doon. Super much. Tama po si Ma'am Erza. Gusto ko din po yung sinabi ni Ma'am Erza. Gusto kong mag-retire kasi as early as 45 to 50 years old. Sana, no? Pero kasi minsan din gusto natin magtrabaho din, di ba? Like, kasi baka maboboard tayo sa bahay or maboboard tayo
Yes.
sa kung anong mga gagawin natin. Pero tama si Ma'am Erza. Mas maganda yung parang early retirement so that we can spend more time for our family. Kasi yung mga teachers natin, super much, napaka-busy nila sa trabaho
Correct.
nila. No? So, pagdating ng bahay, nag-check pa ng mga papilyan, gumigising ng maaga. So, ang dami-daming tinatrabaho sa school. So, wala nang time for the family at lalo na sa mga husbands and, daughters and sons. So, yun, tama si Ma'am. Tama po si Ma'am.
Yes. At talagang syempre lahat naman tayo, although we do have different goals. Katulad nito, we would like also na tayo rin mismo ay magkaroon ng BHAG or Big Hairy Audacious Goal. It's a clear,
Correct.
compelling target sa organization to, no? But we can also apply it sa ating mga personal lives. It is the term coined in the book, no? Ni Successful Habits of Visionary Companies by Jim Collins and Gary Porras. Ito yung BHAG. It's a long-term goal that everyone can understand and rally behind. So, halimbawa, Doc, ng mga prominent BHAGs include, pwede niyo sir i-share?
Or, kayo po? Sorry po.
Yes, sir.
Yung...
Now, this company, sir. Ayan.
Okay, so Google. No? So, they organize the world's information. Tama po ba? Tesla is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. And of course, yung Microsoft natin is a computer on every desk and every home. No? So, galing ng mga bihag ng ating mga different companies. Ano?
Yes,
So,
and we hope, no, parang sa DepEd din siguro ako, if I'll be sharing a bihag sa DepEd, we'll have a teacher na loan-free. Lahat ng teachers mayaman, financially independent, at financially wealthy. Yan ang bihag ko para sa ating mga teachers.
Pero Tutor Madge, Tutor Madge, may tatanong ako sa iyo. Ano ba yung personal bihag mo? Sa'yo naman, yung personal bihag mo, hindi sa DepEd.
Siguro sir, ang personal bihag ko kasi talagang pangarap ko magkaroon ng sarili kong farm. Although hindi siya 1 hektarya, 10 hektarya siguro. At gusto ko talagang mag-provide ng parang vegetable basket ba ang lugar na yan or para makatulong or makapag-provide sa ating mga kababayan. And I'll be sharing it yung mga kinikita na yan sa ating mga farmers. Talagang saludo ako sa mga farmers natin.
So there you go, and I hope you enjoyed watching the video, as one of the financial literacy goals has been to teach you the fundamentals of saving and investing for the future. May the short webinar clip serve as a valuable source of inspiration for you and your future life plans. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, just click the notification bell below for you to become updated with the latest lessons that I'll be sharing for you and for the entire class. I hope you will be having a wonderful day. See you in our next virtual session. Bye!